Hey everyone, Chen here, bringing you guys another video. Today, we are going to go over patch 13.12, I believe. It's going to be the new patch, and how it relates to Akshan. So, if you guys want me to do this with every patch that there are things related to Akshan, let me know down in the comments below. But, especially in this current meta, where, they just introduced the new items, they need to balance it out. There are a lot to go over, so I feel as if these videos can be quite insightful to you and kind of how I feel about these patches. So starting off, we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about mid lane champs, not necessarily top lane champs because obviously I don't play top. That's not where most of my audience is. So let's talk about mid lane champs. We have Orianna, our AP ratio increased, our base damage increased. This basically won't really do anything and change the matchup for Akshan versus Orianna. It's still going to be Akshan favored unless the Orianna is really skilled at kiting and spacing. Next, we have a Rise passive AP ratio increased 6 to 10, EAP ratio increased, and then E missile speed increased. So now this is actually big. There are big implications to this buff. First off, if you don't know, Rise is actually not an easy matchup. Despite popular belief, obviously, it's so hard to gauge matchup difference and levels based on, different aspects, right? Are they good at the game? Do they understand how their champ works? What elo is it? What MMR is it? Stuff like that. But if you are in the highest level of play and the Rise know what they're doing, this matchup is rough. Not only because they build Rod, they build Seraphs, they are super tanky, but they also pump a lot of damage, so you can basically never really jump in on them. Now, interestingly, I want to mention, Rise E speed aims to fix on cases where E melee Q doesn't spread. So this is obviously a massive buff, not only for Rise, but a massive nerf to the Akshan versus Rise matchup. Rise is perceived as an easy champ, but trust me, he is not necessarily easy. I would say he's like a medium skill level. But with this buff, I can easily see him being picked a lot more, not just by one tricks, but people trying to learn him. And if they pick it into Akshan, we're going to have a rough time because he does have a point and click route, he does have a lot of DPS, and he is extremely tanky. So already off the bat, we have one champ matchup that is going to affect Akshan pretty heavily in the mid lane. Moving on to NERFS, Gragas. If you're versing against it, passive cooldown 8 to 12. We'll take it. I mean, they should hit this champion significantly harder. He's been fucking Z tier for who knows how long. Literally triple fucking quadruple flex, but is what it is. And that is basically all that affects mid lane. Obviously, there's some candy here where Kha'Zix gets nerfed, Yuumi Zeri gets nerfed, K'Sante gets nerfed, stuff like that. As an Akshan player, we will obviously take those. But yeah, all of these don't really matter. Moving on to Rumble. Now, this matchup is Akshan favored for the most part, but they are changing him to where his E-Heat gains 20 instead of 10. He has less starting HP, but ramps up. I believe this will just net him more HP as he scales. Q damage is decreased. Oh, it deals target max HP, which actually doesn't really affect Akshan, so that's fine. W shield is decreased. Oh, 4. Okay, so okay, they're making a bruiser. Now, what I will say about this is I think this is actually favoring Akshan for the most part. He basically lost a lot of his burst to deal with bruisers, and that's really good for Akshan, right? If you somehow were in a bad spot in this matchup, you will not be anymore with these changes, in my opinion. So now we're moving on to the meat of the patch, and keep in mind, guys, these videos will be short because I'm only talking about one champion and everything related to that one champion. But we're moving on to something that actually does matter and affect the champion directly, and those are his items. We have Mortal Shield Bow Lifesteal 7% to 10%. Now, I am personally not a huge fan of Shield Bow. I feel as if it doesn't really grant Akshan what he needs and what he desires. And I am also of the belief that he doesn't utilize lifesteal as well as other champions. So in my eyes, I don't think this item should be all of a sudden just built on Akshan, but I could be wrong, right? If there is a weird wonky build where you go shield bow, Triforce, something like that, I could definitely see it happening. and it can be pretty good. Moving on, we have mid lane gold, -1 gold per minion kill removed. Thank the Lord, dude. Mid lane is the worst role in the whole entire game, and they tried to fucking nerf it. It's crazy. Thank God they reverted this. It's going to be feeling pretty good. This actually does matter in a lot of cases, believe it or not. If you CS perfectly and get 100 CS at 10 minutes, that's 100 extra gold. So don't sleep on that. It is definitely going to matter. Moonstone, no one cares. Attack speed from Phantom Dancer, 30% to 35. Now, there needs to be a lot more testing, but I genuinely believe Phantom Dancer might be viable on Akshan. And not even viable, but it might be broken on Akshan. The amount of movement speed you get with this, paired with a bunch of like movement speed amplifiers in this current patch, such as Storm Razor, such as Fleet, for example, you kite and move quickly, especially with his one auto passive. So I think this item is super underrated. I'm excited to see. Obviously, the attack speed 30% to 35 doesn't fucking matter, let's be honest here, but just in general, I feel as if this item has a chance to be very good on Akshan, and I need a lot more playtesting. Static Shift, they really want to make this item work. 80 to 190 to 100 to 180, so they basically just gave it 20 extra damage for a lot of early to mid game, and then it'll slowly curve down and lose 10 damage. That doesn't really matter. I've tested this item. I'm of the belief it's a bait item. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, you build it if you want wave clear, but Akshan has one of the best wave clears for an 80 carry, so it's like, I don't really know. It doesn't really give you much damage either. Like, Storm Razor basically just outdamages this for the most part and outvalues it, right? But it's there, so we'll take it, I guess. Now moving on to nerfs. There are some pretty big nerfs. This is really where this video wanted to talk about, right? Bloodthirster price 3200 to 3400. Now, I have this over here to look at gold efficiency. You can see that the item is giga gold efficient, yes? But you want to think about this based on how you want to think about this as League of Legends terms. So first and foremost, the base stat, now I'm just ballparking, but it's probably going to be 108, somewhere around there, gold efficient, which isn't even that good if you think about other items. Like, for example, if I pull up Kraken gold efficiency, I fucking capped for attention. Kraken is fucking dog water, apparently. No wonder why Akshan feels worse. We could go for, what other item? Let's go Storm Razor. Storm Razor, gold efficiency. And, okay, I fucking capped, guys. You can see I am doing this without preparation, but either way, I think most items are generally positive. That is actually wild that they made those items negative, but what I will say about this, despite how good it looks, you know, obviously right now it's super gold efficient, gold doesn't necessarily translate to overall power, is what I'll say. So for example, I think this item actually being 3400 does matter for Akshan, because his items significantly got more expensive. If you look at Storm Razor, if you look at RFC, both of them used to be, I believe, 2600, now they're 3000. Overall, all his items are being more expensive, and I don't really associate Akshan with a massive late game 80 carry type playstyle, right? So, with that being said, this is actually a huge nerf to Akshan if you are to fit in Bloodthirster. 200 gold, I believe, is one whole wave. It's basically how LS describes it. It's one whole minute of staying on the map. That is a long time. So this nerf does actually matter, and it hurts. But what hurts more is Mr. Gale Force over here. Attack damage down by 5. Active damage changed from crit to bonus AD, and they described it for us low bobs who don't know math. This is a nerf until 445 bonus AD. I don't know if you guys play Akshan, but Akshan doesn't even fucking reach 200 AD, let's be honest. So this is a fucking massive nerf. What does this mean? Don't build Gale Force. I'm down for this because I personally hate Gale Force, but that's literally what it means. Don't build Gale Force on Akshan anymore, which is very interesting. Overheal, this is very niche. I've seen only like one real Akshan player build it, but I'll just touch on it real quick. They basically reverted what it used to be and made it 11% max HP, so don't go over here. Now the biggest part, guys, RFC Energized damage 60 to 140 to 60, guys. That is wild. So once again, if we go to RFC, gold efficiency, it is wild what Riot are doing. Holy moly. So if we go over here, you can see that it is 92% gold efficient, and they just fucking shot it in the leg. So unfortunately, this sucks because RFC, as you guys know, generally one of my favorite items to build on Akshan. I think it fits his character and basically band-aids a lot of his issues as a champion. Now is basically gutted. That 80 damage that you're going to be losing across the amount of times you're actually utilizing RFC, it kills poke Akshan, it kills energized Akshan. It's really painful to see that they're completely gutting this. I personally believe the item is, first off, it needs a buff, if we're being honest. It is literally a utility item, right? That doesn't really even offer much damage, but it offers, you know, obviously the extended range. It is a utility item for 3,000 gold. That is wild. If they did this, but reverted the cost, this would be awesome for Akshan, but unfortunately, I believe this item is unbuildable anymore, and it's gonna hurt to see. Real quick, I'll just touch on red buff. Damage is lowered, slow is lowered, health regen is lowered. Nothing to touch on. That's not gonna care. Okay. Anyways, that is it for the video. If you guys enjoy this sort of, you know, just one-on-one talking about Akshan, our favorite champion that is down in the dirt, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to smash the like button. Comment down what type of builds you would like to see. I've been experimenting with some Bruiser Sean, and low-key it's been a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching to the end. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Chen out.